Hey everybody, Coach here. How you doing? Hey, took a week off last week, catching up on things at Brook and Pond. And honestly, total transparency, I really didn't have anything because I'd kind of run the creative barrel kind of dry. And I was so focused on kind of getting stuff done around here before even more snow fell and more cold came. So I apologize if you were waiting for an episode and it did not materialize, but that's exactly why we didn't have one last week. But hey, it is that time of year again. It is mid-November when I'm coming to you in this episode. And for most of us, I would say more than 50% now, we definitely have a priority shift when it comes to outdoor project thoughts. Our priority shift pendulum kind of swings back in another direction and it kind of goes towards the holidays. Hopefully, winter preparation and fall chores are kind of done, but we're kind of dialing down, if not totally shutting off, the actual landscape project type of mentality. Many of us refocus on holidays, travel, the coming new year, shopping that's coming, if you haven't done it already. But this week, we talk about that time of year and how we can take advantage of the weeks and months ahead. So I appreciate you, as always, for joining me. Let's get rolling.
Hey friends, Maestro here, just dropping a reminder to check out the podcast description for discount opportunities and any important links. Also, if you're listening to this podcast on a specific app, please don't forget to rate and review the show. It helps us grow and continue to provide these free podcasts.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for staying with me. For Maestro and I, we are wrapped in the grip of cold, freezing ground, almost 1.5 inches, 2 inches now. Iced up driveways, and for anything major in the form of landscape improvements, well, that is told to me every day that I missed that window. And, I understood it coming into the Brook and Pond homestead here at the time of year that we did. I knew that we weren't going to be able to rack out a lot of projects. The time was just closing way too fast. So basically, Old Man Winter and Mother Nature have stared at me, and after a hearty belly laugh, they said, "Boy, you missed that window of opportunity." And I readily admit this small defeat, thanks to those two people, Old Man and Mother Nature, arriving kind of early, but then again, I'm kind of a rookie in this area of the country in northern Maine. We've had several inches of snow that have come and gone, and now it's just kind of a smattering that's left because it's in the 20s most of the time. Tonight, overnight low of 15 is expected. So I've kind of followed my own advice and kind of pivoted on my landscape project heels to using this time of year to my advantage rather than looking at it as a disadvantage. Truth be told, I knew it was coming and it was bound to happen. Therefore, I'm practicing what I preach. I have been able to, in the 6 weeks that we have been here, I've been able to get out, and Maestro and I have kind of wrangled some of our homestead back away from the forest a little bit. And when I say that, I'm talking about a lot of the overgrowth, the tall weeds that were here that were never knocked down. The previous owner or owners, they didn't give two craps about anything outside the walls of the home. They wanted it as low maintenance as possible, despite the fact that this 2.5 acres does require a little bit of upkeep. With all the blowdowns, all the fall downs of timber out here in the forest, it's just ripe. It's just ripe for if anything ever came about as far as a forest fire. Man, this place would be a tinderbox the way things are set up. So I've kind of spent the last 6 weeks getting that stuff back under the control. The weeds are knocked down. Paths have been cleared. Weeds have been abated on the driveway. Good God, he had weeds that were coming halfway across the driveway without any problem. And knocking down and cutting up and creating burn piles where in a few weeks, when I have a couple more inches of snow on the ground, I'm going to strike a match to those and get rid of them. But I'm talking probably decades worth of blowdown in here. You could not walk around this 2.5 acres without crawling over or under timber. And I imagine you kind of get the picture of that. And a lot of it is spruce tree. There is some birch and a couple of maples, but we're way up north where the predominant species is spruce, a little bit of cedar here and there, some white birch, some popple, that kind of stuff. But a lot of it is blown down, man. They had a microburst apparently come through here either last summer or this summer, I forget, but knocked over some big trees. And you ever remember as a kid the game of pickup sticks? You know, in some cases, that's what some of the forest looks like. And so I've been out there with the chainsaw and trying very diligently and carefully to undo that game of pickup sticks with 40 and 50 foot trees that are down there. I have created 2 large burn piles already, and a third is definitely going to be needed. And there'll probably be at least another one on the other side of the pond, because that area over there, between there and the roadway, is quite bad as well. I have been able to do a couple of minor projects, a little bit of driveway maintenance, taking down a ratty-ass dog fence that was in the backyard, created a little bridge this past week, which you'll see B-roll on the channel. Did that, and it turned out well. I used some of the spruce poles that were here as my beams, and then I just put 2x8s across there after I stained them and sealed them up. And it's nothing fancy, but it's so much safer walking across there now and then up onto the dam and over to the other side of the pond. And it is sturdy enough, well, I'll be able to, with a little bit of creative dam work, I'll be able to get the ride-on mower over there and be able to continue to maintain that area next year and not let it get out of control again. And one of the things that we have, although it's not in the top 5 priority list of this place by any means, but someday we'd like to create a little bit of a forest trail that you can actually walk through the woods safely there. If we do end up Airbnb in this place occasionally, it would be a nice place to, there is some nice meandering over brooks and up the side of dams and through forests and by other brooks. It would be really nice. Probably I don't know, maybe a third of a mile, maybe a half a mile, depending on how windy you got with it. But it's something that we have in mind. The other thing I've done is I also relocated my firewood to the back of the yard and dedicated that area as my utilitarian part of the landscape, a place that didn't need to be out front considering the plans that we have, which both front and back will get a little bit of lipstick next year. So we have some outdoor living area that's really kind of dedicated. Right now, it's really nothing but a driveway and a parking space, and that's all that was ever done to it. I also took a time to sketch up a landscape design. It was not CAD driven or anything. I actually did it by hand. It is only one, top view, black pen, Sharpie type of design, but it really gives me that mental edge, that visual creativity that I know what we're going to do when we have the chance to do it. I also took some time to source out some things in the county that I'm in and looking for places where I could get more driveway gravel, patio paver material and patio pavers, mechanized rental yards, which is just a little over 40 miles away, yuck, some plant material, and even struck up a rough budget for the projects that we're going to be tackling next year. That one's a little scary right now because we also have some things that we need. We need to insulate the garage. We need to create a garage door that can fit my dually Ford in there. What I have right now, it's too narrow. And so I need to do a little bit of rebuilding the face and the entry of the garage, which is going to be a project unto its own. And carpentry construction is not in my top 3 of skill sets. So I'm going to have to reach out and probably get some consulting or maybe even have someone do it for me. We'll have to pay attention to that. But for some of you guys, being in mid-November, you guys are in prime time still. If you were looking at Florida, the Gulf Coast, southern Texas, even the Southwest, SoCal, even NorCal in many places, you guys, even Southern Oregon in places, you would be able to still continue, if not start and finish landscape projects outside. The cooler weather, the ease for which plants and other things would be able to get in and get established, and the fact that it's not super, super hot. You'd be able to actually work outside and not have to be pouring cement in sub-freezing temperatures. You'd be able to build comfortably. You wouldn't be sweating constantly unless, some type of weather came in that was odd. So think about that. For us in the north, yeah, like I said, kind of shut down for right now. But I have practiced what I preached, and I have used the time wisely to not only prepare, but to also plan and prepare for next spring already. And I'll tell you one thing, this is not something that I subscribed to when I was a professional. When I was a professional, the motto of my company is, we call you back. And I found out why, is because people were so enraged with contractors that would never call them back. You call them 2 and 3 times and you never got return phone calls. And apparently some of the professionals up in my area that I have reached out to, I only got one person to answer the phone when I called. One person I called 3 times and then I gave up. But even the person that answered the phone, it kind of hemming and hawing, and I don't know if I want it, and it's time of year and everything. Just come out and look at it. That's all I was looking for, is nothing big. So people in the trades, if you're listening, at least call people back. You can tell them that you're booked out or you're not taking appointments or consultations right now. But at least you call them back and you tell them that. That goes a long ways for the reputation of the trades and the professionals that inhabit that trade in the general consumer eyes and opinions. My gosh, be a pro. You're in business. Call people back. Show up. Be on time. Be honest with them. Plain and simple. It's not that hard. It really is not. So one of the things that I thought about, and this was back in, the first week that we were here, I just knew that if I embarked on a larger scale project, I would get caught with freezing weather or more snow than the project could handle. And I just didn't want that to be my first indoctrination to landscaping in, higher latitudes, shall we say, the colder parts of this country and this continent. I would rather have not. I could have got away with it had I had everything on site, including an excavator or a skid steer, and I had all my pavers and everything. I probably could have got some stuff done. But when coming off the road and reorganizing yourself to a more stationary lifestyle, that takes some time. And there's a curve involved with that. And I just didn't want to throw all that on us at that time. So everything can kind of stay as is for now. And then we will jump into it with both feet into the deep end of the pool come next spring. By the way, this steps process that I'm talking about is what I include in the 15-step checklist that's available on the website. I lay out these landscape and home improvement steps one by one. And I'd be quite a hypocrite if I didn't follow the same steps and the same approach to landscape projects and makeovers as what I've been trying to teach you guys. I have learned by trial and error over many, many years, I have learned that landscaping in this area is not done on grand scales by any means by DIYers. Those that have been done are very, very simplistic. And let me explain that. People, except for the in-town homes, most of the rural places are either au naturel, which is not bad. It just, you can tell they've never made any attempt to landscape except gravel driveway and what natural turf grass comes up, and then Mother Nature, plain and simple. For the in-town type of landscapes, there's not a lot of creativity involved. It is green grass and the 2 to 3 foot foundation beds, and that's about it. That is it. It is like post WW2 style of landscaping, and there's no more to it. So the ideas that I have are slightly above that. But I have to work with what I have in the way of soil conditions, the sun and shade shadows that I'm learning a lot about when the sun is actually out, and not to recreate what Mother Nature has beautified of the main surroundings of the forest and the brooks and the ground covers and everything that is here. I don't intend to make this place a public park. What I intend is to find a blend and a compromise between some ornamental plantings and then the natural that is back under control and beautified as far as neatness and tidiness and safety wise. But it's going to be fun. It's a great journey. I hope to kind of create something that works with that natural rather than against it. You know, I do have a plant list that I've created already that is kind of properly zoned, you know, and this here is from one day to the next is either zone 4 and sometimes it's zone 3 and sometimes it's zone 5. But for the most part, it's freaking cold. You know, you have about a 4-month growing season at best, and the rest of it is just going to be au naturel. So some of the ornamental plants that I have, a lot of them are evergreens. There are some deciduous that I have picked out, and a lot of perennials. The lawn that I have, it's going to have to get dialed back because it's just a useless space. 12,000 square feet of yard here taken up by a half-assed lawn. So you're going to see a much different approach to the use of that area out there next year or late next year, because lawn reduction is a coming. Other things that we had thought about was the driveway streetscape that's out there. It's kind of natural because that's where the main brook is, but I thought about using some spruce poles and other things and retaining some of the slope, backfilling with some loams and some composts and giving it a little bit of perennial spruce up out there. Nothing super fancy, nothing, you know, it's not gonna look like Disneyland, but it's certainly going to be slightly more than what it is. So in using this downtime to prepare for, which you can kind of pick up what I'm laying down here, to prepare for and source and design and get ready for what spring is bringing to us as far as longer, warmer days, and you can be off and running. It's a way to feel kind of empowered. And once you feel that preparation is in place, you can kind of kick in your clutch and enjoy the winter months and however you plan on doing that. Right now, for me, I would have to sum it up by, it seems to be a chainsaw party for me. Getting a lot of the down timber down and stacked up and ready for burning and that kind of stuff. The previous owners, that just wasn't their bailiwick. It could be quite a fire hazard if I let it go. So cutting and burning, I will go on for as long as the weather allows me to. I'm guessing within the next 30 days it'll shut me down because up here the snows apparently sprinkle you for a month to 6 weeks, and then after Christmas it really starts to come in with a vengeance and starts stacking up the inches and feet in some cases. So if you have a project in the landscape, small or large, and this time of year causes you, because of weather and the environment causes you to pause, use this time wisely. And believe me, if you're planning on farming it out, which I hope you don't, but if you do, better start getting on designers and contractors' schedules now. At least get in touch with them. At least get them to visit you and you can explain to them what you're going to be doing. Get an estimate or two. Some people want to get 5 or 7. I just did not like doing business with people like that because I always took the bottom liners, and then I'd get phone calls months later going, "Can you come over and fix what so-and-so did?" Yeah, I really didn't like doing business with people like that. But when you are done, pick the date next year. You know your area, or at least you should know your area as far as when soils are ready to go, when inventory is in and around bulk material yards and nurseries, etc. The nurseries up here, they don't open until mid-May. So shoot, where I came from, mid-May was almost the end of the spring rush, and you were starting to taper off by the 1st of June. And by July, yeah, the big seasons were over. So with all this planning and this budgetary and design and all the considerations that I've already done, it's time for me to kick in that clutch. Learn about snowmobiling, sub-zero temperatures eventually, and driving in very wintry conditions. Maybe even ice fishing. I've never done that. And I do love fishing, but I've never done ice fishing. So yeah, there you go. Hey, planning it out, budgeting it out, and getting on someone's schedule if you plan on farming it out, now is the time. Contractors have holiday seasons too. Some people, shut down altogether. Some people move out from the cold weather and they go on vacation for a few months in the South realms. So you better find out and you better make it quick. Guys, that's what I have for you today. As always, to your landscape success, don't forget to visit the website. I'd appreciate it. A little purchase. Even there on the YouTube channel, the little Teespring thing, you can pick up some merch. And visit us over on Patreon. Thank you so much for the questions that came in this week. Even the comments, some that weren't so nice, but people are going to be people. I will catch you guys next Friday. I appreciate the week off. We're back on it, and I'll catch you next week. Bye for now.
Hey friends, Maestro here, just dropping a reminder to check out the podcast description for discount opportunities and any important links. Also, if you're listening to this podcast on a specific app, please don't forget to rate and review the show. It helps us grow and continue to provide these free podcasts. Again, thanks for listening to this week's show, and we'll see you right here next week.